What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Rage Traders NRL Supercoach podcast. We have Supercoach royalty here today. Timmy Williams from SC Playbook has joined us for some expertise and knowledge, something that I lack at times. Maybe he can help me with my team. Mate, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here. I know you're very busy, so welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, mate. It's good to be on the show on debut. And I said it's a busy time of year, but it's a very exciting time of year. Vegas this weekend. It's funny, like the trials sort of scratch that itch and you get excited about it. But until we get to actual NRL game day, it's just nothing beats it. So, yeah, very happy to be along.
Yeah, I had a friend yesterday who's like, when's team lists out? And I'm like, 4 p.m, mate, don't worry. And he thought it was for every team. Bit of an amateur, so he was so pumped. And he's like, what? Why is there only 4 teams here? What's going on? So pumped myself. Mate, we've got, so for everyone here, and you haven't listened to the podcast before, maybe you haven't, you just missed out on this. We are running the Rage Traders 1K League. $1,000 up for grabs. All you have to do is literally be a subscriber to my YouTube, The Rage Traders. The code is 739499. Whoever finishes in first overall place will literally get $1,000 in cold hard cash. Very, very easy. Good luck to everyone that's joined. We're just ticking close to 1,000 entries. So not as much as SC Playbook, which means your chances are higher. But I think, do you know your code off the top of your head if you wanted to shout that out? If you wanted to search that, we can also shout out the SC Playbook code as well.
Just getting it up. Our league code, 479007. And there'll be a +1 coming into your league very, very shortly when I jump in there, because a crack at $1,000, I'm all in.
Easy as. Now, we've got some questions here for Timmy today. And it's going to be interesting because I have more of a different strategy than Tim, and I know that because I listened to SC Playbook last night, and it was just interesting to see and hear how people are setting up their teams. But I mean, for you, have you landed on a sort of team structure at the moment? Are you like set in stone on having 3 fullbacks or having like a cheapie or double halfback sort of in your halfback and then your flex and then having your cheapie halfback? Where are you sort of leaning at the moment?
Yeah, I'm pretty settled on team structure. The only... I say that now, but, you know, we all know that a lot can change between now and Sunday, especially all it takes is one little bit of team news or someone being endowed or someone winning a position. Big one being cheapies, right? Like, if we get news leading into Vegas that, you know, it might be even for next week's games, that a cheapie will start for a team, it can just throw the whole team structure out of whack. But from the information that we have right now, yeah, I'm leaning towards 3 fullbacks, and the reason being, and I think the change to the new stat system has thrown things wide open for team structure this year, which is exciting. Initially, when I saw that the change was coming in and there was all these like quite clearly undervalued players and overvalued players, I thought we might end up with some very similar teams. I don't think it is that way. I think, in particular, when you add in the flex position, there is genuine value in the 2RF. There's genuine value in CT dub with centres in particular. Hooker to a lesser degree as well, you know, with more tackles coming in for players as well being rewarded. So in terms of your flex position, there's a bunch of different ways you can go. I'm still pretty keen on 3 fullbacks and running the flex that way. The reason being is that I think there are a lot of really good mid-priced fullbacks who are going to make money. You know, Keanu Kinney being one of them. I'm pretty keen on like a Jai Gray type of character. I've cooled off on Kalen Ponga just because he'd been unsighted this pre-season. Fa'alongo's another one I'm looking at. But yeah, I think I'm going to go down that way, try and make some money with the fullbacks whilst banking some big points. And yeah, that's who I'm looking at the moment.
Yeah, it's so interesting because obviously with the scoring changes and then no price adjustments, I mean, I can only imagine what teams would actually look like if we had that. But for me, just talking strategy and where I'm sort of leaning to is at the start, I was like, that's it. I'm having a Kinney and Chester. I'm not even going to worry about fullbacks, which I think is now very stupid because one, the whole Chester, Peyton, in round 3, he could be gone. Then you're left with like a huge hole you have to dig out of. Obviously it's my opinion, but I'd stress not to do that because I mean, any of these high-tier fullbacks, your Walshes, your Tedescos, even your Edwards, you don't know. Whoever it could literally pop off, and all of a sudden the scoring changes didn't matter for them. And how are you going to get to them? Where I'm sitting at the moment is actually trying to invest a lot of money into my flex, so I have the option of doing anything anywhere. So, for example, I have Kinney and Fa'alogo, and then maybe I have a Tino or a Carrigan in there. Something where I might only have 100,000 in my salary left, but from a Tino going, if let's say Tedesco pops off for the Roosters against the Warriors, Sam Walker's looking good, who's in my team. And I'm like, wow, how am I going to get to Tedesco after round 2 if he's just absolutely blazing it? The try assist is still there. He's breaking tackles. It's an easy 200K like jump for me to go from flex if I needed to. So that's where I'm leaning at the moment. And I'm also just sort of thinking that the tackle increases are so good and valuable for one, the hookers, yes, but also these guys like your Carrigans, your Hopgoods, you guys that are just in the middle, always tackling, and they're going to be there 50, 60 minutes. And I think that's where I want to be a bit more consistent with. And I think there's going to be a fullback out there that he's going to be the one to grab. Like last year, Clint Gutherson went off his head. Everyone was trying to grab him, which was me, and I got baited into it. But I think there's going to be that player as well, where we have to go to. But I think the chances are going to be smaller. I think everyone's trying to find who the fullback is going to be. And I'd rather like sit above, be consistent with a 2RF or a front row forward or a dual position forward, and just say, okay, that's who it is. I'll go to them with another player that's not performing as well. It could be a Trey Mooney or whoever it may be. Yeah,
and that's it with these, top price fullbacks. We suspect that under the new well, I don't think we suspect. I think we know that they, for the most part, and it won't be everyone, there'll be some anomalies to it, but for the most part, they're going to regress in scoring. For starters, early in the season when there's less points scored anyway, and there's not these big blowout score lines and 150 plus scores, but I just think because of the new stat system and last pass try assist, we're going to see fullbacks getting less try assists and line break assists and these sorts of things. Try assists, I think, in particular. So off the back of that, I don't mind the play of whether it is going mid-range fullbacks like a lot of people are doing and avoiding these top-priced ones. And if they tee off early, you can always get them on in early in the season. But I think when you look at a lot of centres that are going to benefit from the new stat system with try assists and line break assists, to your point of 2RFs, hookers who we see, guys, we know they're undervalued, especially with forwards where they're going to come out, they're going to play their big minutes, they're going to make their tackles, and they'll be rewarded as such. So they're safe buys early on. We know that the early season strategy to success is you need to build your team value, and there's no harm in, as I said, stuffing your team with these blokes who should be going up in value. And Isaiah Yeo is one that's come into my team, and I just sit there and go, he makes 40 tackles a game on Supercoach, and he makes 50 on NRL or whatever it might be. There's more points incoming.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be so interesting to see which fullbacks get hurt. Like, even there could be an easy chance where I know maybe this could be at the start of the season, a Kinney doesn't perform as well, and people sort of get scared and like, I'm just going to go to a cheapie, or they're just like, I'm going to lose too much money. I think he will come good as the season goes. They have 3 away games as their first games, which one thing I absolutely hate seeing. I don't know why this is structured. Why does a team get 3 first away games? I don't understand it. But on top of it, it's Gold Coast Titans who are trying to have a better season. But in saying that, I mean, I think we're very lucky that we have the first 2 to 3 rounds sort of free to not get burnt, whereas in NRL fantasy, it's just like price changes immediately. That would have hurt us a lot this season. The one thing I also wanted to ask you touched on cheapies, talking about Vegas, but is there like, I mean, look, besides Makasini, I have to put him out because everyone's going to be talking about him, but is there like a 2RF or a centre especially, whether they're sort of a cheapie that you're just absolutely hot on, you think they're never coming out of my team?
Interesting. No. In terms of that, the cheapies have a role to play, don't they? They come in, they're going to make some cash and do all that good stuff. I think I'm just going through all the most owned ones. There are ones with potential, right? Like we know that there's a bit of a cloud growing over Lasati because we all expected him to be a big minute player for the Storm this season with Elias Katoa gone. Not a lot of news around Sean Bloor and his availability, who didn't play in the trials, but it's now sounding like maybe Joe Chan grabs that edge spot for the Storm, which means Lasati, he might start at lock with Trent Loiero suspended. So it's a big watch there, but there's going to be some risk whichever way you go with Loiero due back in round 3. I think the only one with sort of keeper potential, and I don't think this is going to happen, but it could just be Brandon Smith, right? Like, he's been a gun of the past. It looks as though he's won the starting role at the Rabbitohs, so I expect him to play the first 20 to 25 minutes at number 9. They'll then bring on Peter Mamazelos. Cheese probably has a spell and then come back on in a middle forward role. So if he can get, a 50 to sort of 60-minute role, in terms of keeping him long-term, it'd probably have to be 60 to keep him in a good attacking side. He'll run the ball, he'll bust tackles and do all those sorts of things. He could just sit there as your backup hooker for the entire season. So Cheese is the one with the upside if the minutes come, and they're looking like maybe they will.
Yeah, for me, and that's an awesome one because he looked good in the trials. Obviously, everyone's talking about, well, Manly looked awful, but on the other side of it, Souths have to make Manly look awful. Like,
absolutely,
I get that Manly weren't playing as like a Panthers would or a Broncos would. Of course, no, that's not going to happen. But Souths were playing really good footy. They were creating overlaps. Cody Walker has the instinct to take a gap in the defence if it shows, and he did, and he scored. So, I mean, I know you're very hot for Cody Walker.
Hot and heavy for Cody Walker. That was before the trial game.
Yeah, so he's most probably locked into your team. But yeah, again, like South just looked really good. He also looks fit. Brandon Smith. He looked like a fitter version what he used to be, which is good to see. For me, it's mostly, it's maybe a bit of a bland one. He's not a season keeper, but Jesse Colquhoun. I just think with the McInnes, I think a lot of people are overthinking him as a player and as a cheapie, even though he's got a bit more of a price tag to him. I just think $332,500, I'm happy to invest that bit more of cash into someone that is in a position where McInnes is injured, he's taken over, maybe round 5-ish or round 4, whatever it may be, round 6, we get rid of him and he's done his job. But there honestly could be a play where he just plays great footy and they're like, we kind of have to keep him in our team. Like, especially with the 6-man bench, like, I don't want to say he's just nothing to the team. He's in a great position now, in a team that we always say every year has a chance to contend for a premiership and kind of falls short to the end. What do you think of him? Is he a guaranteed spot in your team?
Yeah, he's in there. And I just think with the Sharkies, the concern is always that Craig Fitzgibbon is keen to use a 4-forward bench. Now, as you said, the 6-man bench throws a bit of a spanner in the works, but in the past, they've had this gun utility in Daniel Atkinson, who featured a lot for them last season. So if they weren't using him, they were generally using this 4-forward bench, which is the issue for the minutes for Colquhoun. We've got Cameron McInnes, who's not due back till a little bit later on in the season, so he's going to get his points, make his money and do all that. Whether or not he becomes a long-term hold, I don't know. It'd probably come down to needing a couple of injuries in the pack to key players, which it's rugby league, right? You hate to say it, but it's inevitable. So there's no reason why he can't lock in a sort of 50 to 60-minute growing role as the season goes on. And, it's not a sexy play as such, but you talk about sexy footy and finding all these attacking stats. Sexy in Supercoach is base stats, getting through your work, your runs, your tackles, a few offloads here and there. And, Colquhoun's one who I think you're on the money where those who start with him, he could end up being in teams for a little bit longer than we think.
Yeah. And with your Brandon Smith comment, was he the player that just stood out to you the most in trials as well?
Not really. I think he was okay in the trial, but in terms of, like, what stood out to me was the fact that Mamazelos played the Charity Shield, where the Bunnies threw out a reserve-grade outfit and Cheese didn't feature. And then fast forward a week to the Manly game where the Bunnies were near full strength. They sent out their best team. They had Cheese starting as number 9. So it was more role than anything with Cheese that was the big thing for me. In terms of standouts in the preseason, we've sort of touched on Cody Walker already, but people worried about him or getting old, has he lost his creative flair, any of that. he's not going to lose the ball playing or the kicks in behind the line or any of that. But the fact to see him have 3 line breaks, as you said, it was against Manly, and people keep pointing that out. Like, I'm aware, but it was a pretty strong Manly outfit, and you can only beat what's in front of you. And 3 line breaks for a 36-year-old or whatever it is, he looked pretty good to me. So there was him and the other one, and you've got your Cowboys footy there. But I've just always been such a big fan of Helam Lukey. And again, I know the Cowboys didn't necessarily play red-hot opposition, but Helam Lukey, he just looks fit, firing, scored a few tries in the trials, and that bloke's potential is not just Origin and beyond, but in Supercoach terms, he has good work rate, enormous attacking upside in an attacking side. He just ticked every box for me in the preseason.
Do you think he's... It's weird to say this, but I'm a Cowboys fan, right? I got the ball here. I hate being a Cowboys fan sometimes. Do you think he's Supercoach relevant in a team? Like, not Supercoach relevant, but do you think, or are you scared, like, because you know how Cowboys can be with their defense and, like, some games just get away from them where they're just getting absolutely throttled by another team, their attack goes away for a game, and you're going to see that low score by him? Do you think, like, that? I think it's 404,000 he's priced or something around there. Is that price tag a tiny bit too much, or does it scare you a bit for Helam Lukey?
No, it doesn't scare me. The one factor is, and you know, he'll be a big minute forward for them more often than not. But I think the thing that helps me in terms of Lukey getting early showers, if there's blowout scorelines, if the Cowboys don't turn up, or if they get out to a big lead, as we know they can do as well, they've got a really easy draw to start the season. In my opinion, the best draw in Supercoach to start the year. As a result of that, I don't think early in the year they're going to have blowout scorelines either way. I think they're going to be in tight contests. And let's add another thing to it. Todd Payton is coaching for his future this season and to start the season. So I don't think he's got the luxury of going, I'll put Helam Lukey on ice and, have him ready to go for the back end of the season, because Todd Payton might not be there. And so Helam Lukey, I think my only Helam Lukey concern is because of his injury history, what do his minutes look like to start the season? And what I will say, by the time the draw does get tougher, and perhaps there is some blowout scorelines and that they are getting put to the sword by some of the stronger teams in the competition, by this point, I'm hoping Lukey has made his money, and if we do want to move him on, we can. And if he's playing 80 minutes and killing it, maybe he's a longer-term keeper.
Yeah. And one thing, I'm going to debate you on one thing here. I actually don't think the Cowboys have the best draw in the season for the opener, because I think the West Tigers do.
Okay.
North Queensland at home. Now, I had some stats before, but Adam Dewey, 117 against Cowboys last season. Taylor May got it, just thrives against them. Then they have Souths away. That might be a bit of a tougher game, but still, Souths, we don't know what their defense is going to look like. They only versus Manly. New Zealand away with a few injuries, a couple of injuries there. Then Parramatta, who have, Addo-Carr injured, still leaked a bit of points to Roosters. I actually love... I've said this to everyone. Maybe we'll get to this a bit later, but there's 2 players in West Tigers that if they did not have the bye, they would 100% be in my team. And then they have Newcastle. Whereas, I get the North Queensland thing. I think their draw is great, but Newcastle still are going to pride themselves on defense. We know that last season they were still a good defensive team, and I think a lot of people are ridiculing them for, I think it was the 28-0 loss from the Bulldogs, where they were literally over the line 3 times, and people they still can't score. I think you're going to see Newcastle score very well against the Cowboys, which is scary for the Cowboys, because I think our defense sucks. Then we have Manly away, who, if they did lose to Canberra, let's say, I think that game is going to be close to a nearly must-win for them. And then, sorry, did I get that wrong? No, West Tigers away, sorry. Apologies. So off the bye, coming into West Tigers home, that is scary for me. That is really, really scary. Gold Coast Titans look like a really, really good team in the trials, most probably one of the best performing teams. And then Melbourne Storm into St. George away, into Broncos away. I get what people are saying, the flair of the Cowboys, but the problem with the Cowboys is when their attack doesn't show, their whole game is gone. So that's how I see it anyway. I think West Tigers' draw looks really nice. What do you think about the West Tigers' draw? Are you
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Tigers, because subjectively, I like the Cowboys draw marginally better than the Tigers. And look, maybe that round one bye is playing into my head a little bit for the Tigers. Objectively, I've done an article on the SC Playbook website, and I've broken it down into ranking teams based on Supercoach points conceded last year, home and away fixtures, all these sorts of things have gone into it, and the Tigers do have the easiest draw. So the way that the system works, and I won't go into it in detail and bore people, but the difficulty, the Tigers are a 9, with 1 being the easiest, and the Cowboys are a 10. So the Tigers are narrowly easier, objectively looking at it and looking at the stats in the entire competition. So on the flip side, the Panthers had the hardest draw coming out of it on 18 points. So yeah, I think you're right. And I think people that are keen on the Tigers don't screw the round one bye. It's round one. It's a typically low-scoring round anyway in the competition.
Yep.
You'll get through to round 2. Everyone will probably score 950 points on the dot in round 1. And all of a sudden you've got the Tigers with a great draw with some really enticing players and you're laughing. So, maybe you don't want to over-invest in them because of that bye, but if you like a couple of them, just start them.
Oh, you're tempting me now. and I'll get into who I think my favourite player from the Charles period was, and that was Adam Doueihi.
Yeah.
The way he performed against Melbourne Storm, he looks like he's meant to be in that position at halfback where we're so up and down of who do we pick in halfback. There's so many, do you just start high with Cleary? Is it Hines, who looked a bit average because of Trindle, still taking 50-50 ownership? For me, Doueihi is and he's one of my players. If they didn't have a bye, he'd just be sitting in my team, without a doubt. And am I overthinking that then because I've currently got Sam Walker? There's a little strategy I have in play, and I want you to hear this because no one's mentioned this, but I know people are hot on Sam Walker, right? And he's in my team. He's a great player. I think he's a candidate for Dally M of the Year. I really do. If you start with Doueihi, and you hold him until round 7 and trade him out for Walker, has very good synergy. So you get West Tigers, obviously the bye hurts, but then you get North Queensland, Souths away, New Zealand away, Para away, and then Newcastle. And then you trade him out into Sam Walker in round 7, who has Newcastle, St. George, Broncos, Titans, North Queensland. I don't mind the Roosters opening draw. New Zealand away, Souths, Penrith, Manly away into the bye. So it sort of leverages out Doueihi, because they both share a bye, into Sharks away. What do you think about that? Is that just overreading it, or?
Couple of things, good digging. I like the logic. If it was later in the season, I'd be going, absolutely target that plan, because I think it works. Yep. I just think we're not going to see these big fluctuations in score lines and blowouts in the first 5 rounds. We very, very rarely do. There was the exception last year where the Storm absolutely pounded the Eels down in Melbourne, but even then, that was Jason Riles dropping first graders and picking rookies and the team that he wanted. So there was all sorts of things going on there. I don't mind it. I just think draw is a factor early on in the season, especially with attacking players. I'm going against Nathan Cleary for round 1 because Penrith's draw is so brutal, but I don't think it's everything. I think when you get sort of close to Origin and certainly post-Origin, it becomes a massive, massive factor with the big score lines. The other one I would say is by sort of round 7, round 8, that period you're talking about, are we just going to want to have Cleary, aim to have Cleary and Hines in our team by then anyway? Because I know Penrith's draw from it might be about round 6 or 7 or 8.
You're actually right. It's round 7. So Dolphins away, Newcastle away, Manly at home, Canberra away, St. George.
So you need Nathan Cleary by then, which is fine because you can have 2 gun halfbacks by that point. But we'll want to get Nathan Cleary. If Nicho Hines starts the season well also, you probably want those 2. That being said, there is a world where Sam Walker just lights up in a Roosters side that could fire, and as a gun goal-kicking halfback with attack coming out of his woo-ha, does he sort of get to that level of Hines and Cleary this year? I
think he does. I think he's going to score more than Hines. I don't think he'll score more than Cleary. I think he's going to be close, but I definitely think I've been so hot on Sam Walker all season, pre-season. He was my number 1 pod. Then he did the 112 in the trials, and it pissed me off because then everyone sort of got to see him. I spoke about him a heap of times. I think he's just, mate, the way he came back from injury and just dominated the NRL was insane to me. And I think the best sign we saw was DC sort of like, here's the leashes, you ride the carriage, and I'll just sit in the back waving the flag, and if you need me, I'll come sort of take the ride and do what I need to do. But I actually am not hot on Sharks this season. I don't know why. Every time I watched Nico Hines last season, it was like I bite my fingernails anyway, but they were just getting shredded. Like they were going down. Like there was a point where he was on 13 close to half time, and I'm like, what is going on? So, like, I agree with that. I also think that there's a strategy then on top of what I said where you can go either have Dewey and Cleary or then just go Walker and Cleary. And I won't be surprised if the duo to have is Walker and Cleary mid-season. So, I think that's a great point you make, though. You definitely are trying to get Nathan Cleary by that sort of round 7 mark after the Bulldogs because we know what he can do. All right. Next one I have, 2 players you think that are being heavily overlooked. They don't have to be pods. I don't know what you've chosen, but are there 2 players that you're like, I can't believe people haven't invested more into them or just picked them more in their team?
Yeah, I think one is Angus Crichton. I just think so many players that we're starting with, we're hoping that they're getting better minutes or we're hoping that their team fires or whatever it might be. Angus Crichton is just so reliable to me, and he has this big ceiling, right? So he's 610k to start the season. He had 3 or 4 tries or something last year. I think it was either 0 or 1 try assist. This dude is an attacking weapon, and they just didn't fall for him last year. He gets through big work rate. He's another one who is a locked-in 80-minute edge man for the Roosters, to our knowledge, unless this has changed. And we do know he's going to rugby the following year, so we'll see. That being said, Trent Robinson, he's a bit like, in a very different vein to Todd Payton, and we spoke about under pressure. Trent Robinson isn't worried about getting sacked after round 3 or 4, but he needs results this year, and I think he needs nothing less than a prelim/grand final. Like, I think the Roosters, with their expectations and their squad, are thinking that. So he wants to win and needs to win this year. And I just think, Angus Crichton, in a gun attacking side, I think the Roosters are going to do really well this year. He gets through plenty of work. He'll get more tackles under the new system. And if he can cross for a couple of tries, which we know he can do, he's one of the best attacking back rows in the game. He's one that I feel comfortable having in my team.
Yeah, I mean, off my spreadsheet that I've been given by sources that have helped me through this scoring changes saga, 4.2 increase projected to be about a 41k increase alone just of the scoring changes. The thing for me last season, it just looked like he was just a different person. It was kind of weird. It wasn't like the Gus we knew from Origin that would just step up and not be scared of anyone. It seemed like it just wasn't happening for him. My one concern is, and I don't know, like I don't know the exact contract. You might know for the Union how much he's getting paid. I wonder if it was me, I'd also I'd kind of be scared because I'm like, I don't want to get injured. I'm going into a new sort of season in a new sport. Do you think there's a part of him that's always like, I'm going to take a tiny bit of a step back just so I don't get injured? Or do you think he's just full force, doesn't care, he's going to play his hardest? Kind of like Colo, he's going to the Dragons. What I saw from him in the trials is like, I'm still a South guy. I'm just going to smash it and go 100%.
Yeah, I don't think so. There might be other factors that lean into him not getting the best output. Injury-wise, I assume he signed the contract, right? So if he gets injured, his pay's sorted. The big one is the World Cup next year, Rugby Union World Cup, which is where his aim is. And you know what? Maybe it's back end of the season where he's going, I can't afford to get injured. Maybe the Roosters have fallen off the radar a bit and finals aren't as much of a concern. I don't think that will happen. But in terms of money and contracts, mate, that'll be signed, sealed, delivered, ready to go. But yes, in terms of the injury, he obviously has an eye on the World Cup next year. And, you know, he's played Union growing up through school and juniors and all sorts of things, but he needs to win that spot for the Wallabies. He's not going to walk into a starting side or the squad itself, so he's going to need to feature early on in the Super Rugby season, so it's a factor, yes.
Okay. I think also maybe one thing is, I don't think they'll do this, but maybe the coaches are like, we want to get some people in that position that we want to develop for the next year or the next season. I don't think they'll do that because I do legitimately think they're a premiership contender. But if things didn't go their way, then maybe we'd saw that through the back half or the last quarter of the season.
Huge chance of that happening, In which case, by that point, I'll sell him if he's not playing 80 minutes. But as long as he plays it early on, that's all I care about.
And I like their draw too, to be honest. I think the Warriors are going to have a bit of a tough... I mean, I could be wrong. I hope they don't. I love watching the Warriors, but coming up against the Roosters' first game is going to be super tough. I expect the Roosters to get out of that. And I expect... The way Crichton is as a player, I don't expect him to do anything of what I've said. I think he's just going to come out the gates and come swinging. So hopefully that's for your pick because we know how Brenton Nicker has been sometimes. For you owning him, he can be a bit of a 2RF where you're like, he needs the attacking stats. And sometimes that's what I feel about Critter. It's like he needs the attacking stats to sort of have a good game. That's what worries me. Whereas if you're picking like a Hopgood for 510,000, who I know you're massively on from last night, you spoke some good things about him.
No, I'm off Hopgood.
I know. I was joking. But like just putting him in like a comparison, he doesn't need like attacking stats. He doesn't need a try assist or a try to get his numbers up when he plays super well. He just needs like tackles, a bit of offloads, and he's sort of getting to that 50-55 mark. So that's where I sort of sit. But I like that you're playing Crichton because I do think he's a pod. My one, I think, did you have another one on top of that?
My other one that I've warmed to, and, you know, like content creators in particular, it's very easy to get caught up in stats, right? And stats don't always tell the full picture. We need to look at things like changing roles and changing clubs. And the one that I've warmed to, and I must admit, I am nervous about it, but I feel like there's a world where Selwyn Cobbo explodes on the left wing at the Dolphins. And you're not going to read stats and say, oh, he's undervalued, you have to pick him, all this sorts of stuff. Like I've said since the new stats have come in, that centres of the play rather than wingers early on in the competition. Mate, I just look at that Dolphins left edge and the magic that Isaiah Katoa weaves over on that side. He's got Herbie inside him who, regardless, we know he's got glue hands at times, Herbie, but at the same time, he's going to attract a hell of a lot of defenders, and I just think he's going to have the space out there, Cobbo. So, again, he's not going to have the base and probably the power of the best in the game, but at $524,000, gee, I can see Cobbo strolling over some easy tries this season outside those boys.
I agree with you. One thing that I think is going to scare me, and this is only a one-game thing, and you don't look at Supercoach as a one-game thing, is I think people are downplaying this right edge defense for the Souths. Campbell Graham and Jack Whiten, mate, that is... I'm so curious to watch that and see how they defend, because if they defend well against Herbie and Cobbo, and like Campbell Graham is just shutting them down, in a sense, with Whiten... I think that is then going to have to be a Supercoach thing we look at when teams are coming up the left edge versus their right edge. Onto Cobbo, though, I'm all for it. The one thing I think he's not really going to... He could get it. I mean, we saw it. He could get a try assist here and there. He might get some easy tries. It's mostly sort of the base side of things. But again, his fitness looks incredible. It's 80 minutes on the edge. He's taken Bostock's position. What do you think's going to happen? Do you know how long Bostock is out for? Is he...
I think it's at least a couple of months. I think he was maybe like around 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to impact anything? Do you think you could see a world where things shift and Cobbo moves to the right, or Bostock just doesn't even get back into the team off
There
that?
is a world, if the Dolphins are firing, they won't have a need to rush Bostock back in.
Yeah.
There's a world, though, where Cobbo shifts to centre. I'd imagine probably on the other edge to accommodate, and you drop Jake Avrillo out if that's the way they go with it. So that could happen. But, you know, again, it's a few-month period. And I also... Look, if the Dolphins light up and that left edge is killing it, maybe Cobbo is a keeper this season. I suspect he probably isn't, but if I can get him to 650, 700K and then hopefully get a bottomed-out Jacob Kiraz or Val Holmes or someone, I'll make that move. But to start the season, it should be fine. And... yeah, so, and the thing with Cobbo is, he could, to your point of going at that edge of Campbell Graham and Jack White, which defensively should be really good, mate, he could score 25 points in round 1. Would not surprise me. Week 2, he gets the Gold Coast Titans. That could be 145 points. So there will be highs and lows with Selwyn Cobbo. I get that, but over time, that should balance out.
I agree. I think he's a great pick. I also think he's a possible flex pick that you just sit there. There's going to be people that have the 4 main centers, Jackson Purdue and like Cobbo in flex or someone in flex as a center. I can see it happening. But I really like the pick. For me, my 2 picks that I think people aren't giving a lot of consideration to, one is Taylor May. I just think he's bread and butter for this scoring changes. It's actually scary to me, like when not owning him when he comes up against the Cowboys and just that draw that they have. I think I'd prefer to have Taylor May in my team over Dewey to start with, just because I think there's way more ceiling. But I say that, and Dewey popped like 117 against Cowboys, but that's obviously in different positions. I don't want to read into it too much. But yeah, I think he settled in last season. He still looked great. At the time of when I did like my pods, 5% ownership, maybe that's gone up a tiny bit now. $617,400. He gets a 3.1 increase from his new scoring changes. So that technically means he averaged 73 in 78 minutes, which is just really good. He also averages 30 in base, which is just really nice because he's basically one attacking stat away from just getting close to what he's sort of priced at. Also, that was only in 7 games from round 20 to round 27. I don't know whether maybe towards the end of the season that plays more into maybe looking too much into it because teams are worse in defense. Some teams have given up. But yeah, he also scored his high score of 125 against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So things sort of play into me there, but I don't want to read into it too much. My next one, though, is Stefano Utoikamanu. He's actually in my team at the moment. I just think the way he ended his season, he sort of found his groove with the Melbourne Storm. I think, and I hope he gets just a tiny bit more minutes as well. He's got an offload in him. He can tackle break. He's just a machine. I think he's going to be the guy that needs to propel Melbourne Storm forward now with the players that they've lost. Is he someone that you've looked at or is possibly in your team? Or do you think like you're better off going a bit higher to a Toby Couchman where you can drop down to Stefano if he looks the goods and Toby doesn't?
I've absolutely had a good look at Stefano Utoikamanu. I'm tempted buying, but I'm not going to start him.
Yeah,
I probably liked him before the stats change came in because I think you guys like Couchman will benefit from these additional tackles, and I feel they're a bit more undervalued. I find him hard because the way he came out of Origin last year, he was a different man. Attitude, work rate, he just looked better in every way.
Mm-hmm.
There is a huge chance that by round 3, people are like, we need to get Stefano in because he's got pumping out 50 in base, he's offloading, he's tackle busting, and he's jagged a few tries, and he's about to go up massively in money, and you're sitting there just, licking your lips and going, how good's this? My only thing with Stefano is that we say this every year. What has changed is that he did play Origin last year, and we see players come out of Origin camps and just drastically improve. He spent more and more time under Craig Bellamy. I also expect this combination with Harry Grant to only get better. I can see him just strolling over for a couple of tries off the back of the magic of Harry Grant and line breaks and these sorts of things, because not to say we've seen it in the past, but I think there are going to be weeks where, and maybe it's 1 a year or 2 a year, but he just crashes over for a double off Harry Grant and he can go a 130 type score. So, yeah, look, end of the season last year, he had a 5-round average of 65. In that period, he had 49 in base, which is outstanding. So he's a huge watch for me, but I won't be starting him.
And do you think, can I ask you, is your FRF2 higher price than him?
Yeah, I've got Toby Couchman there at the moment.
Okay, cool. And the forward bench doesn't scare you from the Dragons this weekend?
I'll be honest, I just don't know what to make of it. Like, it's a 6-man bench, right? And I know, like when teams came out yesterday, I was sort of expecting them to name a 6-man bench. They sort of still named it in that style of 4-man. And then had 18th, 19th. I was kind of like, well,
that was so weird.
Look, maybe it is, and it'll be very rugby league and very NRL that they just haven't. It came out and they didn't adjust it to what it should be, and maybe we will start to see a proper 6-man bench name. But I'm like, It's not a 4-man bench, guys. It has to be a 6-man bench. As a result of that, I'm kind of looking at, I think it was King Tongia and then might have been a David Farley that are in the 18th, 19th man slots. I don't know which way they're going to go things, mate. I don't love the fact that they've sort of got the first 4 players as forwards. Again, we don't want to read into things too much. He averaged 60 minutes per game last year. I expect to do the similar 55 to 60 this year. He'll benefit from the additional tackles. So I'm keen on Couchman, but I'm not sold on Couchman.
Yeah, I think also Ryan Couchman really in the trials he was on 27 tackles, and
he's a sleeper cheapie, I reckon. Yeah. I can't start him for the reason he mentioned around the 4-forward bench, and they're pretty stacked in the pack, so we don't know what his minutes will look like. But he's another one where we could be round 3 going, dude's averaging 40 in base and just coming out in limited minutes and killing it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do as I said, I always say this in fantasy, I'd rather start above in price and only have to drop down to my salary goes up. If Toby Couchman doesn't look great and Stefano looks good, you're banking 70k in cash and just going down to him and not losing the price rise. So I agree with that. I will say this though, is there a player that you've been so tempted to put in your team, but you're I just can't pull the trigger. I just can't do it. I'm itching for it, but I've got to be smarter about it.
The same bloke as everyone in Supercoach. Can you pick him? Can you read my mind?
Give me position.
Fullback.
Ponga?
Reece Walsh.
Oh.
Mate, he's killing me. I'm just
I thought you were talking about Ponga.
New stat system. Super high price. I think he'll regress in the scoring system. They're good mid-range fullbacks that I think I can move up to him after a price drop. But then I've just got this little birdie in my ear going, dude, it's Reece Walsh. He's just going to explode, and he's going to be the difference in the early part of the season. But I don't know. I look at his price, the new stats. I look at the fact that, he did so much of his big work in the back end of last year against depleted lineups and all that. But then on top of that, he went and averaged over 100 in finals. He's the one that's plaguing me, mate.
So, you know how I said before my strategy is to have a high-priced player in flex? For 2 or 3 days, it was Reece Walsh. Yeah. And I'm like, this looks great. I can drop down basically to anyone. If I want to go up to Tedesco, it's just the tiniest bit of cash. And then I think after 3 days, I just said, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
But it's the way he plays, the cutout ball comes from him. The line break assist comes from him. He is the core of the attack. The one thing I get scared of is we all know he's capable of a game where things just aren't adding up. He's dropping the ball. It's 3 or 4 knock-ons, or the passes aren't aligning. It's start of the season. I think these tougher teams that they have with the draw opening, they have a good draw-ish sort of. I wouldn't say it's bad, and I wouldn't say it's good. They have Penrith at home, Para at home, which is great. I think that's the scariest game for me. Para at home, Reece Walsh, that's 100 plus to me. Melbourne away, which is also tough. Then Dolphins, Gold Coast away. Oh, geez. Now that I read it, it's not iffy. It's just Penrith tough, Melbourne tough. The rest, he could go 100 plus in.
And just about every game is at Suncorp or in Queensland. Yep. It's just
Yeah.
It makes me crook.
So on top of that, I guess the one player that I have had and that I've been looking at very closely is in the same team. And it's because of this reason. And I just can't pull the trigger, but I really want to. And this is going to be... No one's talking about him. And I understand...
I reckon I know it. Forward?
No. And you're going to say Carrigan?
I was going to say Carrigan, yeah.
No.
Because I think people are sleeping on Carrigan as well.
I agree too. I'll give you a clue. You should give it away. Centre.
Shibasaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. How good was he in the World Club Challenge?
It's just when Broncos play good, he is a part of it as well, just like Reece Walsh is. And I think a lot of people have in their head, he was a cheapie last season. We got the price grab out of him. He was great. But I actually think he's a great centre. He tackle busts. He's always there and the line breaks are happening. He's just part of that left edge attack. I just think people are really overlooking him. And I'm like, honestly, I'm not even joking. I'm so close to having him in my like flex or just as one of my centers because his averages are good. I think he's going to be. I mean, he had that like part of the season where there was some off-field dramas, and now he's back in the team. But a guy that can go 116 twice in the season last season, this is without like, I don't think in the scoring changes he gets too much of a boost. I think he actually got like a 1.6 change negatively, but I'm honestly not worried about that because when I see scores of like 80, 83, 60, 116, 60, 63, 61, 81, 74, 116, 109, like all I want is a bit of consistency in my center. And I think he is very close to being someone that's consistent. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think he's a bit overpriced based off what he does and what he can do? Or is he someone where you're like, he should be a consistent center?
I would have probably pegged him as slightly overpriced before the stats change. But I think that's come in and, you know, I keep saying it, but centers are one of the big beneficiaries. I don't think he's overpriced, and I would probably argue that maybe he's undervalued because of that. You know, anyone who watched the World Club Challenge as well, he scored, I think it was a couple there. He came within a whisker of scoring another one there. That combination with Reece Walsh is elite, and as you said, he gets through plenty of work. He busts tackles. He has line breaks. You know he's going to score tries in this team, so I think there's a huge play in Shibasaki.
See, you're supposed to go against me so I don't change my team too much.
No, I don't mind it, yeah.
So he's currently owned by only 5%. 647,700. Now, he feels around that 680,000 mark. I'd be like, that's pushing it. But I don't know. With that draw we've just read out, I think he's very close to coming into my team now.
He'll
especially when... Yeah. You're putting him... If you put him in, I'll put him in.
No, I'm not putting him in my team. I can hear it in your voice. I know... I hear this all the time from the infamous Spy and Guru, and like you hear people talking up people, and then the closer it gets to kick off in that game in round one, they just go, screw it, I'm doing it. Generally with a whiskey or a beer under the belt, and they just go, I'm doing it. Yeah,
and he's also the type of player that he still plays good against good teams. That's what I like about him. Like World Club Challenge, obviously a good team there, but like he's just I just think he's a really a top tier center. Like he's not up to that level. I think of like a Crichton. Or like he doesn't, maybe the defense doesn't match towards what a Crichton would. But Supercoach wise, I think he's very, very good. But time will tell. I may look like a bit of an idiot, but I just got to go with my gut. And
or a genius.
Said, yes. We've got a couple more questions left. Is there a cheapie that you're getting really cold on that has quite a high ownership? For me, it's just I'll get rid of mine first. Tom Chester. I'm not really liking the pick because we don't see a price rise instantly in Supercoach. And I think the Laybutt plus Payton combo scares me, especially, I mean, again, I'm a Cowboys fan and I will not be shocked if we lose against Newcastle. I definitely see an avenue where it's a close game and we lose by 4 and everyone's sort of like, oh, Newcastle actually do look a bit better. And yes, the attack wasn't as good as maybe what people think it can be straight away, but I'm just worried about Cowboys defense and Chester in that. If things go haywire, I think Payton is the type of coach to switch things around very quickly. You saw it with Purdue, tried him in the halves, pulled him back out, played in the halves in trials again. Then everyone's like, oh, he's going to be 5'8", perfect. Yep. Back in the centers. Like it's just all over the shop. What do you think about Chester? Is he a definite in your team or do you agree with what I've sort of said?
Not a
there?
definite. You're spot on. Like the reality is that, 2 weeks ago we were looking at probably being Zach Laybutt and Purdue in the centres, and then Chester. We know he's under this injury cloud, which plays into it as well. Does he go down with that? Hopefully not. But by round 3, he could drop out of the team. What I will say is, at least with Chester, say he does drop out for Laybutt, he's still only going to be worst case one injury away or, poor form from one player to come back into the back line and to get that first price rise. But nonetheless, he's with a fair few decent cheapie CT dubs coming up and, a guy like Moses Leo who's come into contention a little bit now as well at the Melbourne Storm. I think there are big question marks over Chester. Yeah,
I agree. Who is your cheapie that you're sort of getting cold on, if you have one?
Yeah, there's heaps that have red flags around, and like one of them's Fiamani at the Titans. Just for similar reasons, I'm like, in theory, the Titans' attack will be good and they'll improve this year, and they looked right in trials. It's still the Titans, right? Like, he could come out and average 15 on the wing for them, and then he gets dropped, and they've got a bit of backline depth there. It's not like they don't have options there to replace him if he starts slowly. And, round one in Cronulla at Shark Park, that's a very tricky start to the season. So, yeah, he's one that I'm kind of umming and ahhing, and I'm sort of looking to fill my final CT Dub cheapie spots, and it is Leo versus sort of Fiamani versus, Tom Chester. So there's some decisions to make.
Yeah, for me, it's Makasini, Sedutu, and whoever lands the winger spot at Melbourne, to be honest with you. I think that's the safest way security-wise to put it. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm just... The more I play Supercoach, the more I realise that security is just so much more valuable, because I don't want to have to worry about a team list coming on a Tuesday and I know what my trades are, then all of a sudden Chester's out of the team and I'm like... oh, do I boost now? Or, it's just another thing that just adds on to the plate. So for me, that's where I sit anyway. Obviously, team list could come and we might see another cheapie CTW as well, which also makes me go away from Chester, because we already know of 3 or possibly 4. And if he plays, he's locked into my center position, which annoys me because I want to see what's available. So again, that's another thing. The last question I have for you, I don't know if I sent you this, but I just wanted to know, when you saw the Fletcher Sharp getting the 5/8 position, did that sort of tempt you away from Cody Walker? Or were you like, nah, I'm just so sold on Cody Walker, I don't care what Sharp is or the price is, I'm just sitting with Cody?
Yeah, it didn't interest me at all. And I know he's been a big talking point in Supercoach since the team's dropped, but... for so many reasons. From a personal perspective, I was so keen on Cody Walker, and the way he played on the weekend just locked him into my team. I just think with Fletcher Sharp, firstly, I don't think there's any job security, which is mental because he's a star, and I will own him at some point this year, but you're already paying, a tick over $730K anyway, which is big money at the start of the season. At any point, he could be on the wing. He could be their 14 or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I
don't have faith in the Knights, to call it what it is, especially their forward pack. Their backline's pretty stacked, but, we all know that halves need a platform to work off and get that momentum set by the pack, and I just think it's okay, but I think they're going to struggle this year off the back of it. So what sort of opportunities is Fletcher Sharp going to get? Even if he does come out and kill it, he probably plays to his average. So I'm looking to make money early on. And as I said, I'm pretty confident Fletcher Sharp at some point, and there is every chance that he is sort of the number 1 5/8 in Supercoach by end of year, but I'm not doing it early on.
Yeah, well, look, by the way you sound, it could be Cody Walker by the end of the year.
Well, if he stays fit.
Yeah, 100%. And look, a bit of information on Cody Walker. From when I did my pods video, he went from 22% to 30% ownership. So a rise there. 454,300 he started at last season, I think, or is he listed as 454,000 now? Because I got 399,000.
399 is.
Yeah, correct. So 399,200, but started at 454 last year, so a massive drop there. He played 11 games last season, with 6 of those games being under 60 minutes. So that is what gets me there. What can he do in the last 20 minutes of games where the defense is dying a bit? And he's just sort of playing a bit of magician role.
Yep.
The more we talk about Cody Walker, I regret this interview and just doing this podcast because, saving all that money from a Cam Munster or me having Purdue. The thing that scares me the most, if Purdue goes out and gets a 30-35, and I know there's people sitting there with Cody Walker against the Dolphins, I'm going to lose my mind. It's just if he can stay healthy, right? That's all it is. That's the only question. It's not his age. I don't get... I guess... I know people say he's old. He's, 38, I think? Or 36?
37, maybe. 30,
okay.
He's 36 or 37. He's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I get that's a thing, but in NRL, if he performs the way he did against Manly, not every game, but here and there...
He just turned 36.
Okay. His age doesn't matter. Sorry, Cody. 38 was a bit too high.
Yeah, brutal.
So yeah, I agree with it. It's just if he does pull a hammy or something happens in those first 2-3 rounds, which obviously I never pray injury on anyone, what do you do from there? Do you have like a bit of a tiny backup plan that it's like, well, like how I can't get to a Munster, or is it going to be hard to get to a Purdue? Who's like your next 5'8" that you're like, okay, this is my plan to get to someone?
Oh, to be honest, mate, that's a problem I'll deal with when it happens. As I said, 400k, so... But like on top of it, I just don't like the 5'8" position. So I want to see how everyone goes early on, and say he gets injured in the first 2 rounds, there's going to be a 5'8" there who comes out and has a massive start to the season, and at the very least is going to make money. Well, I'll flip him to whoever that person is with a view to turning that person into Cameron Munster when the time is right. Because I think, Cameron Munster's Mr. Reliable. His lowest score last season was 41 or something. So take Cody Walker out of who I am keen on. I look at everyone else in that position. I'm like, meh. There's some all right players, but I just want to see who are the standouts early on in the season.
Yeah, I think with the draw, now that we've spoken about it, Ezra Mam is maybe like someone who I'd be like, that he could pop out some big scores, but I agree. And I think maybe not spending a huge amount of cash there is necessary. Now, I know we're not going to speak about team lists because every creator has done that. Everyone most probably knows. But I did have something sneaky for you. I've got 10 rapid fire questions that I didn't send you because I don't like sending them because then you know exactly what's coming.
Good.
Okay, so I've just listed 2 players in each and you're just going to choose who you prefer out of these. Couchman or Hopgood?
Couchman.
Cleary or Hines?
Oof, that's tough.
This is to start the season, like actually being your team.
It's so tough. I'm going to go Cleary.
Brayley or Grant?
Grant.
Sam Walker or Hines?
Sam Walker.
Cody Walker or Cameron Munster?
Cody. Thank you.
Jacob Carraz or Valentine Holmes?
Val Holmes. I love Val. Just that preseason hamstring concern scared the shit out of me.
Chester or Faymani?
That's hard. That's a guessing game. Chester.
Stefano or Couchman? And that's Toby.
Couchman.
Kinney or Ponga?
Kinney.
And the last one, this is going to be tough for you. Guru or Kathmandu?
Tough? Kathmandu.
Threw him under the bus.
Far better person, head of cat. She's on an upward trajectory in Supercoach as well. Guru is trending downward very quickly, so Kathmandu.
You just killed me with that one. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show, mate. Really, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart because I was trying to reach you everywhere. I was sending pigeons out. They weren't getting back to me. He was so busy and he finally got back to me. But thank you, mate. I hope you've enjoyed your time here. Welcome back anytime, of course. But good luck with the start of your season. Good luck with Cody Walker. And I'll see you at the top of the ranks.
Mate, between all the social media pages I've got going on with SC Playbook and that, you actually got me through the one I'll probably use the least. And I created an Instagram personal account a couple of months ago, which I rarely check, and that's one you got me on. So, no, thank you for having me. Cody Walker, I will not need luck on that front. We'll be all good there. So, it's been fun. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Take care.